This is Sean. I've been moving into a new shop space and I wanted to show you what I'm working on today. I'm going to be building a new assembly table, or just a workbench style table. And so I found a guy on Marketplace who had a bunch of these pallet racks, and these are the modular ones that have the platforms and then whatever size legs you want, and then you can stack them and just go as high as you want. And so I've been looking for some metal to build this workbench, and these things were 25 bucks a piece. I thought that would be a good, just a flat surface to work off of. And so the same guy had some of these 3x3 tubes, and I think these are going to work pretty well for the legs. So let me take you inside and show you what we got going on. What I've got going on in here is I want to put a table, like an island style table, over here in this space. So I'm working on that, and I think those platforms are about 5 by 7 feet, and so I think that's going to work pretty well. So the first thing I want to do is figure out how I'm going to get the legs cut off of those things and get my other leg supports cut. I did a couple of test cuts over here, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. So that's what I'm working on today in my new shop space. Trying to figure out here if I would rather cut this out and have this sit inside of here, or if I'd rather just cut this off here and here and have it sit on the top. I may not even need to cut the bottom one. Maybe we'll just do that. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is running another piece of 3x3 tube across here for some strength. So maybe I could just cut this down and down right there. I'll have to think about that for a second. One of the things about this cut is I want it to be a pretty good cut. So I could use my grinder here, and I think that would work just fine. Well, let me try it. See how it does. This might work pretty well. Okay, let's see what that's going to do for us. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I may have to clean that up a little bit. I also got out the portaband. That might make a little bit nicer cut. I may try that on the next one. I do like the way this fits, but I think I want to cut the rest of them with the bandsaw. So that's what I'm going to do. That worked much better than the grinder. That portaband works really well. I don't have any dust collection yet in this shop, so I'm going to try to clean these cuts up a little bit with my grinder and prepare them for welding. The problem is it puts a lot of dust in the air, so I'm going to try to do that. Maybe I'll open up one of the garage doors. Okay, let me do that 4 more times, or 3 more times. Okay, that's some cold air out there, that's for sure. But these are all looking pretty good. Okay, I just got the second platform. I got the legs cut off of it. So this one's ready to go. I think what I want to work on next, is getting the rest of my legs cut. So I've got 2 cut there. I want to get the other 2 cut. That's cool how it turns itself off when it finishes. It just hits that switch. What I've got here is, this is the shelf on the bottom and it's upside down. So I've been looking at this for a minute. What I think I want to do is I want to use my jig here, and this thing is 12 inches. So if I put the feet at the edge here, that'll give me 12 inches. This will be 12 inches high pretty much. So I think I like that. I think that's what I'm going to do. As far as these legs go, these were some scrap steel that I purchased, and so what I want to do is put the least attractive side going in. And so these are going to be pretty much right in line with this assembly jig. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think I like it. I think I'm gonna tack it in. So just before I do that, I just want to visualize it and make sure that it looks right. So it's upside down. This is going to be my top surface of my shelf, my bottom shelf. Legs coming out right there, and then this will be the space between, and then the top will go on down here somewhere. So I think it looks right. It looks pretty good. I think I'm going to go ahead and send it. Not perfectly graceful, but it got the job done. Okay, I just spent a bunch of time cutting this sheet down and notching it, and so I've got it held up on my cherry picker engine hoist here, and I'm hoping I can get it up here high enough, and I'm hoping it's going to fit. So, you know my motto, measure once and plasma cut twice. So let's see how we do. I definitely don't want to get underneath this thing, so going to be a little bit careful here. I might have nailed it here. Look at that. Wow. I think I may have notched it a little bit big, but I did not want to pick this back up and notch it again. I like it. All right, like I said, I had forgotten that I had this big gap right here, and so when I cut these notches, I notched it as if it was going to be tight up against that. But I'm not worried about that at all. Look at that. Okay, so let me clamp this thing along here and just start burning it in. That went a lot better than I was expecting. It's a heavy piece. All right, let me start burning it in. Yeah. I picked up these circles out of a scrap, and I think they might make good feet. I can get it centered right. That looks pretty good. For feet, you think? Circle feet? I think this is about where I want this new table to go. And so one of my friends was over here last night and we were just kind of placing it. But this is the top frame and I want to get that welded in. Maybe I shouldn't have moved it over here away from the welder. to get out of here now. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to get this guy pretty much tightened up at the same height as the top of my legs here. And so to do that, I'm just going to use a piece of angle as a straight edge and clamp it on. Whoops. $85 outside to outside. And I've got 85 1/4. So I'm going to pull these legs in a little bit. That's within a 16th. Okay. Now I just want to get it basically the same width-wise here and here. And it looks pretty good. I'm going to come over just a tiny bit. That feels good. So now I should be able to tack it here and on the other side, and I should be pretty much level with the two posts. And I should be square with everything as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and tack it. Okay, I got those tacked in, so I want to pull all this apart now. And now what I'll do is I'll use my straight edge for the next two. Okay, what I should have now is a completely flat surface that I can now take my upper piece of plate and just set it right on there and then weld the heck out of it. The nice thing about that is the plate will be on the full support of the post, and that big plate won't be just being supported by welds. So that's why I did it that way. So anyway, I guess let me go ahead and get this thing sent the rest of the way home. Get all my inside corners welded and get this frame finished up here. So let's do some time-lapse stuff. What do you say? Okay, I got that all welded up. A couple places I had to fill in a little bit of gap here and there, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. And then once I get that plate on there and welded to this frame, everything will be one solid unit, and the whole thing will be being supported by the full support of the post, along with these welds. I mean, these are strong welds, but it's a heavy plate as well. Oh, look at that. Not good. Whoops. That's why I've got fire extinguisher, and a couple others strategically placed. And also make sure there's no gas cans or anything laying around when you're flinging sparks. Now I'm torn between doing a plate that's that's in line with this, so you could potentially clamp a vertical plate piece on it, or having it come out a little bit. And my plate that I've got is 60 inches. And if I do 60 inches, it'll have an overhang of 4 1/4 on each end. And maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just leave one corner flat, so if I do want to clamp something vertically, I could do that. That's an idea. Let me think about that for a little bit. Okay, take a look. I think it looks great, just like the colors it is. But I've been told that I need to, so I guess I'm gonna start prepping it for paint. But first of all, look at this gap right here. So I'm gonna have to pile some weights or put a clamp or something on here to try to get this to flatten out a little bit. But I think I like it. I've got some rust remover on the way. I'm gonna try to clean this up a little bit. If I really spend a lot of time grinding it, it'll get real shiny and clean like this, but it's just not feasible for this much surface area. So I've got some chemical rust remover. I've been grinding it with a flap disc pretty good. It's quite smooth, but I think it'd be nice if I could get some of this discoloration out of here. But I really, really like it, and I really like the color scheme. What do y'all think? Should I paint it or should I just leave it like this? Sweet. All right, let's see if that put any appreciable weight on there. Oh yeah. See, well, look at that. It's still kind of up right there. Dang it. Maybe I need to work my way back. I think I still need to work my way back. Perfect. So let me put a bunch of tacks in there and then we'll move it over again. Sound good? While I let that first coat dry, I'm going to try this Evapor-Rust product. And so you're supposed to submerge this in the solution, submerge your parts. But obviously I can't do that here, so I'm just going to spread it out and see how it does. Should be pretty interesting. This stuff's only like 30 bucks a gallon. All right, take a look at what we've got. It's been almost 24 hours and I came out here this morning and re-wetted it down. So I think I'm ready to pull this back and take a look at how we did. It's kind of a sticky goo feeling to it. Wonder if that's where it's drying. Looks like it's done a pretty good job though, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely sticky on the edges where it's been. Okay, there's what it looks like after, I guess, about 24 hours. So I may do another treatment on here and see how that does. You can see I got quite of the paper towel patterning in there, but where, I guess where the Evap touching it did a pretty good job. I think this area I hadn't ground down as much, and so that might be why that didn't get quite as clean. But I think it's working. Let me just really quickly try and hit this with a flap disc and see if that does anything. See if maybe it's been loosened up or something. That does seem to work, but it's just not really feasible to try to grind the whole table down. It's too much surface area. Off camera, I wetted this thing back down and put a piece of plastic sheeting over top of it to try to keep it from drying out. And it's been, I think, about a day and a half or so. So I'm ready to pull all this off of here and check and see how it looks. So let's take a look. Seems like it did a pretty good job. Definitely left a Well, I've got the table in here and now I need to try to position it. Okay, it's good and level, or it's not wobbly. So I think I like it in the space. It's kind of tucked in over here, a little bit closer to that wall than to this wall. But I think I like it. So it's going to give me a lot more horizontal space. I can put the drill press on there and some other stuff, especially on the shelf below, some of the big stuff I have floating around here. Okay, nice. Here's where the table ended up. And so what I'm working on today is I want to get some of these floor tiles put around here. I think I want to try to tile this whole area. I also want to get power over to the table. And so I thought about bringing power from above and maybe doing one of those pull downs. I've got a plug in there and there. Maybe a plug-in like one of these, or a pull-down like one of these guys might work really well. But for now, what I think I want to do is just put this extension cord underneath the tile. As I do that, as I tile it, I want to go underneath it. So I think that's what I'm going to work on for now. These are the Harbor Freight anti-fatigue floor tiles. Foam mat set. So this is 10 bucks for 17 square feet. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, that worked okay for that lightweight workbench, but I wonder how it's going to work for these guys. These are all full of tools. Okay, I think that came out pretty good. So the one concern I have is I may be trapping dust and debris in that space right there, but I guess you'd be trapping it if you had them out in front of it anyway. So let me just keep going here. I think I like this going all the way to the wall, so I need to lift up this end of the workbench with my floor jack here. Well, that thing barely reached. Jack's barely in the way. Okay, that might cut into the foam, I guess, over time, but I guess I'm not going to worry about it. So I do like that it's all the way up against there. Let's see if I can get these big rolling toolboxes back in place. Okay, I think I like it. Let's keep going. Coming along pretty well. I've got a lot of these extra, I guess, edge pieces. Let's see if I can get rid of those. Looks like it's time to lift up this workbench too. Well, I forgot to hit record, but there's the edge installed. So it looks pretty good. The nice thing about these tiles is they're somewhat modular, where you can take the edge off and expand if you want. Another consideration a friend of mine mentioned is if you drop anything hot on here, they'll melt or burn through it. But same kind of thing, you should be able to replace individual tiles really, really quickly and easily. But anyway, this video is more really about the table here, the workbench area. So I'm liking it. Let me get this crap cleaned off of here and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the top. I'm happy with the way this tabletop turned out and how it looks. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a product that's basically a lubricant that also protects against corrosion. So this is T9. And you basically spray it on there, let it dry and buff it out. So that's what I'm gonna do for the finish on this. And it's already really, really nice and smooth. So I'll let that sit on there maybe overnight or so, let it penetrate. Then I'll come back out here and either wipe it off with a microfiber towel or I'll buff it with my buffer. So that should work pretty well. I like the idea of having a vise on this workbench, but I don't like the idea of having it permanently mounted. And so I've been toying with the idea of mounting a receiver right here and then mounting a caddy for the vise that would then slide into this. And so I've got a piece of 2x2. I don't know if that's going to be long enough or not. But I could mount this to the vise with a plate of some sort, and then I could slide this whole thing into here. The other thing I could do is I could turn it if I wanted to clamp something in the vertical position. So I may mess around with that at some point. And I've got a couple of different vices that I may try to do, but I don't think I want it permanently mounted on this table. I want to be able to spread out on this table. It's a 5 by 8 foot, so I think I want to keep it free and open. So I may mess with that at some point, but I think I'm going to call this project finished. I also really like these foam blocks. If I knew I was going to do this much square footage, I may have tried to find like a mat or something, but the individual blocks worked out just fine. And I do like the idea of being able to replace them if needed, if they get damaged or melted or whatever else might happen. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. Got some space to work and maybe some tabletop to mount some things. Okay, I think I talked myself into going ahead and welding this on here. So if I try to do it like that, there's a huge gap. So I don't think I need this reinforcing piece here. What I think I want to do is just use the bandsaw and just cut this square off. The other thing I could do is try to bore a new hole somewhere in this piece or whatever, but I think I'm going to try just cutting that off and see how it does. So let's head over to the bandsaw. Okay, I'm gonna let that finish cutting, so I'll be back in a sec. I got this thing cut off, ground down, got some paint removed where I want to weld it. So I think I'm gonna clamp it on here. And I like the idea of it being tucked under here a little bit. So that's what I want to do. Okay, so here I was talking about burning a hole in this matting, this flooring. So what I've got here is a welding blanket. So the idea being, you can drape this across things that you don't want to get splattered. And it shouldn't burn. So yeah, I think I like it. I think I want to weld it right there. And really, welding it to this 1/4 inch plate should be more than enough. Welder too. Okay, well, I got that welded in, and I just wanted to get this thing welded on here if I was going to before I start piling stuff on here and making it more difficult on myself. So now I can mount the vise to this and I'll just be able to use that as a portable modular vise mount. And then when I'm done with it, I can pull it out. So let me get some spray paint on there, and I think this is done here. And that welding blanket did okay. You can see I did get a little bit of holes right here. See that? So it's kind of what I'm expecting with this foam stuff. But anyway, there it is. I have a few more of these circles that I picked up at that scrap yard, and they're the ones I used for the feet here. But it's not quite the same diameter. So I think I'm going to trace out this round circle here on a piece, on the actually the extra piece of this plate that I used here. So let me try to get that going. I've got my circle traced out, and I'm going to try to plasma cut it. I'm not the best at plasma cutting, but I've got a lot of extra to try again if I mess it up. So here we go. Doesn't look too bad. I think I like it. To mark the holes here, you would typically use a transfer punch, but I don't have one of those. And so what I'm going to do is just mark it with the drill bit. So I want to stay nice and straight. This is the same size drill bit as my hole here. So it should center itself. Okay, there's one. And there's two. And so what that did for me is that marked my two holes. So I'll take these over to the drill press and finish them up. Okay, I think that's going to be pretty good. Okay, well, I think I like it, so let me go ahead and finish welding it. My little mounting receiver is all dry now, so I'm gonna try putting the vise on and see how it does. And I'm not even sure if I need to put a pin in here or not. I was thinking I may be drilling this out, but I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, as long as you're not like pulling it straight out, probably wouldn't hurt to do it. I probably need another one of these supports to store it. But I may just store it right there for now. But yeah, that lets you get it out of the way for, you know, just keeping this nice and smooth. I think I'm gonna end the video here. This table's been working out really well for me. I really wanted just a big flat horizontal space to work off of. And you could call this a welding table because it's made out of steel, but I don't want to use it as a welding table. I do want to build a welding table, but I want a welding table that's about 3 by 5, I think is what I want. This is 5 by 8. And so the fact that I use steel to build it, I just like working with steel and welding and that sort of thing. This was a 5 foot by 20 foot by 1/4 inch thick plate that they had pulled out of a furniture factory that they were tearing down. And so I was able to get that secondhand, and you can see that it's got imperfections in it. It's got countersunk holes drilled in it. But I think that adds to the character of the table. And I've been pulling my different tools out and just putting them up on the table. I really like the idea of keeping it clear. So I've got my little bandsaw down there. I've got my planer and one of my drill presses that I can just pull onto the table and use them. So you could have I could have made this out of plywood and 2x4s and it would have served the same purpose, but I really like working with steel and I think it turned out pretty good. As far as the padding or whatever these things are, they're definitely, I'm already making a mess over here where I was welding earlier, or when I was welding this guy on. And I don't know, I found a guy who's selling some gym mats that are real thick rubber. I may try to replace this, but I really think this is gonna be just fine for what I'm trying to do with it. It's way easier to walk on than the concrete. And then I've got a couple of chairs here. Sometimes you wanna be sitting at your table working on whatever, so I've got those. So I really like it. And so what do y'all think? Let me know what you think. This is also a little bit different video than my usual stuff, and I'm building stuff and working in the garage. So let me know if you would like to see more videos like this one. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you made it this far, I'd like to thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this build video. I realized that Matt with Diesel Creek just built the exact same table, and that was just a coincidence. I've been working on mine and gathering up my scrap steel. So let me know what you think of this kind of video. All right, thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.